Alright, now onto the second problem, or shape. There we go, that's the word. Okay, so we're going to take the same basic ideas that we did with the first shape, and we're going to actually find all the angle bisectors, per usual. I kind of already started this one a little bit, just to get out of the way of doing all the angle bisectors. So, angle bisectors are done, but this is a little bit different because now we have 4 sides instead of 3 sides. So it's going to be a little messy. So what we actually get instead here, we get 2 points where they cross. If you can see, we get 2 points where they cross. And so at this point, we were kind of like, okay, we don't know what to do. But then it kind of, for me, it kind of like clicked right away. I don't know why, but for some reason it was just easiest for me to think, well, I'll just fold it in half. So that's what I did. I folded it just straight in half, and that's actually that's what these tell you. These 2 points here will actually tell you the bisector that you're going to fold it on, where you're going to fold, so that way you get you line up the sides. So if I fold along this line here, like this, let me see if you can see this. If I fold along that side there like this, see how you can see how they're not lining up? That's because I have it shifted over a little bit. But if I shift it back onto the line, it's going to fold up nice and evenly. And something that we also learned about these is that from the first one is that these are pinch points. These are where we want to pinch and make the fold. You don't want to go past this when you're doing any of these folds. And this seems to work out for a lot of other problems as well. That if it's a 4-sided shape, you do the angle bisectors and you'll get the fold points. So you get the place where you're going to fold, and you don't want to go past those pinch points here, right there. So then, next thing we're going to do is we're going to start folding it. So I already did this side a little bit, just so I could work it through my own head and what I was going to say. But we can look through the second side, and we'll do that together. All right. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to start folding this side again. So I folded it across, and I found the pinch points. And then I was like, if I fold it across all the way, I was like, okay, so what do I do now? So the first thing I did was I was like, okay, let me tackle the bigger side first, which is this side. And so what I saw was, okay, so if I see this, I have all of this space, and I'm like, what do I do? I know for a fact that I have to fold along this bisector, and I also have to fold along this bisector. Okay, and the same thing goes for the pinch points for these lines too. You don't want to go past the pinch point. It's going to kind of be hard if you're doing it like this because you're not going to be able to fold it all the way through the pinch point. So what you do next is so what I did next was I was like, let me crease these lines first. And what seems to be the general consensus on these things that I've done, these few shapes that I've done, is that it doesn't matter outside of the shape what you really do, especially if it's a corner point. You can fold it all the way through and it won't really matter all that much. And a tip to do with when you're folding the angle bisector lines is actually looking up into the light and just match them up. So like right now, if I were trying to fold this bisector line, I would go like this and I would say, are these two matched up? And if they weren't, I'd slowly start turning them and I'd start folding it as soon as they lined up, like they are now. Instead of, I use the angle bisector line as a guideline, but I really make sure that I'm on the line, but when I'm folding it, it's more of a intuition thing. You just kind of look and you can see it, and it's a little bit easier instead of trying to make it exactly on the line. Because for all intents and purposes, it works out the same way. So after folding these two creases, I folded the first one, and then I folded this, and then I was like, okay, so, I can't see. So I folded this, and then I was like, okay, so which direction do I want to go in? So if I fold this way, the easiest way for me to think would be to fold it over like this, just kind of like we did with the first one. So then I would have to fold this one, this corner here, I have to fold this in as well. So that's what I did. Then from there, I folded it in, and then I made sure that I lined them up, just like that. So they're lined up, and then I just press the whole thing flat and make sure that all of this is creased, even the stuff that we didn't intentionally do. But then you open it up, and you can actually find this cool thing. It's what it does here. This is the non-intentional crease that I made, and it's actually what it is it's a perpendicular line to the outside of the shape, which is pretty cool. And so that's another one. If you like finding the lines and folding directly off of the lines, you can find all of the perpendicular lines that go towards the shape, and then depending on how you want to fold it, you can use those accordingly and figure out where your folds are going to go prior to actually folding it. So then let's work on this side. So if we go like this and we get this side all folded, just like we had it before, there's not really, so in my mind, there's not really much to work with over here right now. So I'm actually just going to flip it over and start working on this side, which I have a lot more open space to work with on this. So then let me do the same thing that I did before. Let me look at this. So if I look at this, the best way that I think it would work folding wise is if this is down here, I'd like to keep this down here. And what I'm going to try and do is fold over here and take this angle and fold it over like that. Then from here, let's see what to do. So here's the point in the middle. Then I'm going to fold it over like that. That's what I'm thinking. And then take that bisector. And then I'm probably actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this top corner here. I'm going to take this top corner and I'm going to fold it the other way so the fold is actually this direction. And then I'm going to try and put it down flat and see how that works. So just bear with me for a second. Take this. Line it up. Right. Check it. Nice fold. So then find the pinch point. Make sure it doesn't get past the pinch point. Okay. So see what that kind of does here is this is where the pinch point is, and since I folded it like this, it kind of actually curves in a little bit, which is nice because that kind of makes me feel like we're going in the right direction. So something to know about these is that you don't really want to be too harsh with the paper. You kind of want to let the paper flow and fold, and then once you get the shape that you want, that's when you start folding it. So like I was saying before, you don't want to pinch until you know where the points are that you're going to pinch. Then let's do the other side. And so right now, I'm going to be honest, I can't remember which way I said we were going to fold this. So I'm just going to fold it just in case in one direction or the other. I think I had said we were going to go this direction. But when it comes to that, if you fold it, you can always fold it the other direction. It'll start creasing the paper and it'll make it a little bit harder to work with. but what it'll do is it'll make a crease, and then it'll fortify the crease on the other side. So it's a give and a take. The paper might look a little bit more wonky, but it's gonna work. It's gonna look even more wonky the more that you play with the paper. So let's flip this over and make sure that this crease is out, so that way you can get it nice and a nice easy fold on it. So then line it up and pinch all the way up until the pinch point, and then boom, we're done. Just kidding, not yet. So back to folding. Alright, so we'll fold this in, and actually as you go, it kind of just folds itself after a while. It's more or less just pressing it back down into place than anything else. So that's all set there. Make sure I just double check that it's down. Flip it over, and let's see. Okay, I did fold it in the right spot. So what I'm gonna do is what I was saying before. So see how there's this crease here? What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push this side in, and then kind of leaves me with this like half crease here. What I'm gonna try and do is okay, so it looks like I decided to go in the wrong direction with this fold. And that's okay, because like I was saying before is, oh, look at that. So I was kind of just playing with the paper, right? And if I fold this in here, I actually take this one that I folded the opposite direction originally, and I pinch it towards me, which is actually the right fold, then it's gonna just flatten out and line up nicely right there, just like that. Then flatten it out. Everything looks right. Everything feels like it was right, and then we'll take a look. So this side's all lined up here. Flip it over. This side's all lined up here, and let's cut it. Something you might want to do when you cut it is make sure that you have a more firm grip on it, just in case it slips up or something like that happens and it kind of jumps out of your hand a little bit. But I mean, sometimes it's good to have a firm grip on it, sometimes it's not. So then let's go, unfold, and there we go. Cut off a little bit of the edge here, a little bit of the edge here, but that can be fixed with just tightening up those folds and lines, like I was saying before. Like I said, I kind of do it more intuitively, so it's not as exact and precise. I even have a little bit of an end here, but that's how you do this shape. I'm gonna record the next shape, and then I'm gonna clip them all together, so that way we can get the shapes together. This next shape is actually right here. I'd done this one previously because this one is going to be tough. So I can actually just explain it right now. Yeah, we'll go with this one, and then we'll do the last one after. So for this shape is another four-sided shape, and it's a little bit different than the previous four-sided shape we had before, because this one does not look at all like this one. But we're going to use the same ideas that we had from the other one to make this shape. So what I started off with was the regular find the angle bisectors here, and then here's this has an angle bisector, and then this one is the fourth angle that you need to find the bisector on. So actually what I did was, instead of trying to find the angle for this right here on this side, I found the angle bisector on this side, and I measured that out, and then I drew a straight line through, because I know that they share angle bisectors because they're the same angle, and this made with the same two lines. So what I did was I drew across, and I drew across, and then I found a point where they crossed, and then same thing for these two sides, is I drew across, and I drew a line across, and I found where these two met. And then, like we had said before, what we had discussed was this is going to give us the shape bisector, where we can fold over this line that we have between these two, which is right here. Let me just try and make it a little bit easier for you to see, which is right here, this line. And we can take it and we'll fold across this line. And remember to pinch it in between the pinch points, which are this point here and this point here. You don't want to go past the pinch points. So it's a nice. This is literally a pinch. This is the same size as my finger. So all I had to do was just pinch, and then that's how it is. But while I'm doing this, like before I pinched and made sure that it was 100%, I continued the fold over, and I made sure that they lined up nicely, which they do. So then I made sure that I pinched across. Then after doing that pinch, I decided to fold all the sides first, actually, which was different than the last one that we did. I wanted to make sure, I wanted to try and figure it out before I folded them. I just folded all of these at first, because like I said before, if you go back and forth, it doesn't really matter. It just kind of gets this wear and tear on it. I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like blotchy a little bit over here. Some of the graphite's coming off the paper. So what I did was folded it over, and then I get this shape here, kind of like this. So this is what it originally looked like before I folded it. It's kind of looked like that a little bit, and there's a little bit of a tail hanging off right there. So you get this wonky shape, and at first I was like, okay, what the heck am I gonna do with this? But then I was like, okay, let's just start folding. It'll work itself out eventually. That's my mindset. So what I did was I was like, okay, well, let's start working on this side. So I folded this angle across here. So if you fold it across and you pinch it, you get this leftover section here. And inside of this leftover section here is actually this angle, which kind of gets hidden from when you fold it over, when you fold the sheet over itself. You can see the angle when it actually overlaps onto the other side of the shape right here. So this angle and this angle are connected on the same side of the page, and then this outer angle here and this angle are connected on the same side of the page. So that's what I'm going to use. So when I'm folding this one, I folded it in. Make sure that your paper is nice and malleable, so you can kind of, just fold it however you want. Try not to do the pinch points too much. Alright, so then once I pull this down again, once I folded this side in, I got this. It's kind of a, right now it looks a little different because I had already folded it, but when I did this, it would actually look something like this. It would be more of a fold, and then you get kind of like a bat type of thing, because my finger is still on the fold point, to make sure that they stay together. So then from here, I know that this angle here has to get folded as well, and it would be kind of tough to fold this side in as well, especially if we have to keep this middle fold point there. So what I decided to do was I decided to fold it outwards so that it's on the outside, so that I fold it backwards on the page. So you fold it across, and then you fold this piece here. Then taking this one and you fold it backwards so that it looks like this. That's the, one sec. There's the point. Fold it out so that it's facing there. Then it kind of does itself after a while. So fold this over and then fold that over like that. And like I said before, kind of work with the paper. The paper knows how it's going to fold and what it wants to do. So let it be malleable and let it work itself. It'll get itself done. Then the other side, same thing as before. This side here like that, you get such a small area to work with. I'd rather flip the page over and start working on this side, the whole thing. So what you have to do is you have to look at the angles that we have left to fold. We have this angle here left to fold, and we have this angle here left to fold. Knowing that we have to fold both of them, I pre-did it before I started this, and then I decided to look at how I think that they were going to get folded. So kind of thinking about it, I was like, okay, this is really long, so let's just see if we can keep folding it along this side instead of flipping it back over. So I was trying to fold it this way, like outwards, so that way it would just be one long line, but it didn't really like to do that at all. Like I said before, the paper knows how it's going to fold and how it wants to fold. So just work with it. So then, because what I tried to do was I tried to fold this one. If I were going to do that, I would fold this outward like that. But then, if you fold it outward like that, you kind of get like a long shape that doesn't really. One sec. Let me see if I can show you. Kind of get a long shape like that. That kind of just looks like you folded the paper over on itself. Which, in all reality, that's what just happened. So instead, I decided to fold this angle here inwards towards you, and what I did was it went like that, and then so kind of folded in towards you, and then this piece right here kind of went along with it. If you already pre-make this crease here, and then you fold this crease inwards, it kind of just folds in on itself, and it's a nice easy line to make. So then if we look at it again and we line up the line here, this line and this line, we make sure that those are lined up, and then same thing with the other side, we make sure that this whole line is lined up, and then we cut it out. So let's do that. If my scissor skills were better, that would have been a lot easier, and this would look a lot nicer. But for all intents and purposes, this is the shape that we wanted. Like I said before, look, it's even coming off a little bit here. Oh, you can't see it. There we go. You can see it now. It's got a little bit of fraying coming off on this. Yeah, my scissor skills were not that good if you take a look down here. But yeah, that's how you do this shape. And then the last shape, we will do together the whole thing. So keeping in mind everything that we talked about before, talk about the angle bisectors, talked about the pinch points, where they cross, talk about everything that happens. But this time, we're actually going to be working with a 5-sided shape. If I can pull this out of my pile of papers, that would be great. Okay, here we go. So first thing first, I'm going to want to find all the angle bisectors, take my protractor, start doing that. This is actually the only shape that I did not do previous to starting recording. So bear with me. Make sure that we line it up. A lot of these angles are not exact, and they kind of makes me a little bit mad, but that's okay, because this is a 65.5 degree angle. So 65.5 would be 65, that's 32.75, which is roughly there. Yeah, so I mean, once you get to the 0.75s, you can kind of just eyeball it. This is you just eyeball it. So that might not be long enough in line, but we'll see after we do this angle, because I think these two angles are the ones that are going to cross and will give us one of our bisected points. Then we will do this angle here is a 110.5 degree angle. So 110.5 is going to be 55.25. Make that there, and then draw a line. Yeah, like I said before, this the first line I drew wasn't quite long enough. So if I draw that all the way down, it doesn't quite match up, so I'm just going to extend this a little bit farther. Line it up, make sure it's nice. Okay, so that gives us one of our pinch points. Then we're going to take this and we're going to do the other three angles. Uh, 79.5. That's our angle. So 79.5. Oh, I did this. I know I did this one wrong in class too, so bear with me. 79.5. That's 34.5, but it would be 34.75 because it's 79.5. So roughly about there. And then angle bisector for it. Draw a straight line. Last one goes. Oh, just kidding. Not last one. This angle is a 35, 36, 37, 38. 38.5 degree angle. So that's 14, nope, 38.5. Oh my god, I just blanked. 38.5 is 19. There we go. 19.75. No, 19.25. There we go. Good math, Matt. Alright. So that one goes there. And this one goes there. Again, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to extend this line here, just in case it's supposed to cross with that one as well. Alright, so now this last one. This last angle is, oh, is that a nice even? 1, 2, 3. 113. 113 is 56, 57, which actually just runs off the end of my paper. Drew on the paper, drew on the table. 56, 57. 113 is 56.5. I lied. Okay. Doesn't seem like it would make that much of a difference, but better safe than sorry. Alright, let me check this real quick. This is the one that I did in class. And let me make sure that I am doing this correctly for the most part. Do those two angles look the same? One of these things is unlike the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. Okay, I'm gonna agree with my findings now, and we'll start going with it. So, from the looks of it right now, going off what we would normally do, I'm actually gonna fold it in half first, and then I think that one of these two areas where the angle bisectors intersect with each other, I think that's where it's gonna be the midpoint. But I don't think it's gonna be here. I actually think it's gonna be this one. But we'll find out. So, like before, take the paper. You're gonna want to line up those pages. And if you're doing this method, what I'm doing is I'm actually gonna pinch it in any of this section here, any of this broad section, because even if it's this line to this line, or if it's this one to this one, if I pinch it in this general area, it's gonna be okay, because we're gonna be hitting that point anyways. We're gonna be pinching it there in that general area anyways. So line that up. And once that's lined up, I'm going to pinch it down along. And we know for a fact where one of the pinch points are. So I'm going to go all the way to that pinch point, which is this side. Then I'm actually going to follow this until I can find another pinch point. And I'm going to stop as soon as I hit one of these lines, even though I don't know for a fact if it's a pinch point or not. And look at that. So it's actually neither. I was wrong. I probably did some calculations wrong or something like that. But let's see. Yeah, even on the one in class, it didn't quite line up. But that's because it should have. That's because this angle is wrong, I think. Let's double check. Okay. Oh, excuse me. All right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna just jump right into it. So we have the area where we're gonna fold. We have the first fold. Even though it may not hit exactly one of the pinch points, we'll figure out where the exact pinch point is later. Later on, because right now we're going to work on this side. And so with this side, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold both these sides. Intuitively, what I'm thinking is going to happen is that this side down here is going to get folded inwards like that, and then this side, this point here, is actually going to get folded towards you, like kind of like that. So it's going to fold in like this, and then it's going to fold down like that. Just thinking about it by myself. So what we do is we're going to fold over, line up with the light, pinch it down, right up until the pinch point. Okay, that's a good crease there. Okay, so then this one here is the one that I'm actually going to fold like this, and it's going to go the opposite direction of the paper. So fold it like that. Yeah. fold it like that. Okay. So then we got this folded, and this folded here. All right. Then let's see if those worked. So fold it over, and then fold this in, like I was saying before. So what's actually kind of cool about this is, since I did that, it's already kind of folding down and into itself. Because if I go like that, and I fold, look at that. So it's actually going to make a fourth, and possibly, yeah, it's going to make another fold point here. I already know that that's gonna, I can tell that that's gonna have to fold down, because it's not gonna be wavy. It's not gonna be malleable like this. It's gonna be more rigid, and it's gonna have an actual pinch structure to it. So when I do that, see how it lines up nicely right there. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pinch this down and make sure that all of the folds in this whole thing are nice and tight, like that. Time to work on this side. Same thing as always, flip it over. Alright, so now what we have here is we actually have 3 angles to work with. So just right off the bat, what I'm thinking is actually kind of the same thing as before. What we're going to do is we're going to fold this part down here like that, and then this point that my finger's on right here, this one, I'm going to fold it in this way. Yeah, so if I actually fold it in this way like this, it actually, what it does is it kind of, I'm not folding it exactly yet, but what it kind of does is, if you were able to see up here, there's a straight line, and what it does is it just folds straight across like that, which is kind of cool. So actually, before we do the rest of the folds, I'm going to do that right now. So unfold this, and take this fold here, and line those up. Fold them outwards. And so, like I was saying before, is we don't know exactly where the pinch point is. So I actually only folded it up until these lines crossed, because I think that that's how it's going to work, but I'm not quite sure. I didn't even think about that in class. So fold up one side, then flip it over, and then fold up the other side the way that we were thinking it was going to go. Is how it would fold straight down like that. Okay, so we're running into some problems here. This line here must be the problem, because this fold isn't going to where the pinch point is. Now that might be a problem with the pinch point, so let me actually go in a little bit more with the pinch, and so I can fold it, and then it'll fold over nice and easily like this. So I think that was more of a problem with the pinch point, the initial one, than with this one here. So what that is it's going to give me like a kind of a funky like curve shape. It looks kind of like if somebody drew an eye or maybe an ellipses, and we're going to figure out what to do with this. Alright, so what I'm thinking is it's actually just going to fold down on itself like that, and it's going to make a nice and easy straight line across. So if I fold this point in, and I also fold this point in, it's just going to kind of fold down on itself. So let's open this back up and do that. Fold this side in towards itself and this side in towards itself. Alright, so that point's done. Now we're going to fold this side in here on this, and fold this inwards. make sure. So actually, real quick. So what I'm doing this whole time, like the reason why I have my back turned to you is because the light's up there, and it's actually way easier to fold when you're doing this and you're looking into the light, and you're just lining it up like I was saying before. So fold that in. Kind of want to make sure that it's a. I almost ripped the paper. Want to make sure that all the folds are out of it too before you fold another one. It makes it a little bit easier, makes it less crinkly, and I'm not doing a very good job at that right now, but fold that in. Okay, so doing this, actually, this is a way that you can actually check your angles as well, because seeing this, I can tell that I obviously did not. My correct angle bisector is here, but my drawn angle bisector is here. So there was some sort of problem with it, because if you actually fold it and you look at it, it makes a line, as opposed to if I go like this, where it was supposed to be, it would not. So that's where my problem was with this problem. All right. So let's get back to it. So we fold this in, work on, we do the side that we already know, which will just fold itself over, flip it over, then fold this side down here, which will give us that nice, easy, there you go, which will give us this little piece here. And it's actually what it does is, after doing the other folds as well, it's given us a pinch point on its own. This is our exact pinch point that we now know. So what's going to happen is we're going to fold down here, fold down like that, and then also fold down like that. Okay. So that doesn't seem to be the exact solution, which is okay, because everybody makes problems within math, and not finding the exact way to do it the very first time is okay. So what we're going to do now is, since we found that problem, we're going to start by folding a different angle. So instead of folding this angle down here, we can try and do something by maybe folding this angle up here first. Maybe we fold this angle inwards towards it. So if I take this, I actually fold it inwards. Ooh, look at that. That's going to give us a funky little thing. So, actually, one second, let me flip it over here. So if you look in here, I don't think you can tell, but there's a lot of rigidity because of the previous folds that I made. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put my finger down on right around where I think the pinch point is, and I'm going to pull up, and what it's going to do is it's going to kind of open it up a little bit, and it's going to make it easier for me to do what I want to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to fold it down, so that way it folds along its angle bisector. And what actually that looks like is it looks like it's going to work. If I had the angle bisector correct, it would totally have worked. But not quite. So it kind of gives us another pinch point here, which is cool, which is pretty cool. Folding this over. Just what I did was I just made sure that I double checked that this was nice and tight. So what's actually going to happen is I'm going to fix this line here, so that way I know where my pinch point is, which will definitely make it a little bit easier. So if I redo this line, I know now that my pinch point is going to be in this vicinity here, as opposed to this vicinity where I had it over here. So it's actually going to be more towards the center of the shape. So that's going to help because I'll be able to fold this piece over a little bit more than I had before. Okay, that gives it a funky shape. So let's go back to it. Flatten it out, make it look nice and a little bit better. Fold it over. Fold it over. Make sure that this side that we already have is done. Flip it. Alright, here's the funky part. If I fold this in, make sure it's not as rigid. Fold this in. And fold this point down. Here. Look at that. Okay. So what that's going to do is, when I folded it down, it's on the line. And it's actually cool is that if you look at it, it's also on this line here. You can't really see it very well. But what we're left with is this part here. So let me actually open it up a little bit more. If you want to open things up and just make it a little bit easier to move, just kind of pull on it a little bit. The folds will come out eventually on their own. And what we're left with is this here, this angle, and this angle here. So what I want to do is actually, what I'm thinking of doing is taking this angle here and continuing over with the fold that we already had. So if I go like this, and then I fold here, all that I'm left with is this, which looks kind of funky, but if we take it, and actually what it wants to do, and what I'm going to let it do, is it wants to keep folding over, which is okay, because what's actually happening here is, for some, like, it unintentionally it did it, which is why I'm saying just follow the paper. It'll tell you what it wants to do. Unintentionally, what it's doing is it's folding over here as well. So what this is allowing it to do is if I fold this over here, and then I fold this over here, it lines up on its own. Not putting any more creases into it, you can already see that it's lining up on its own. So if I actually take, and one second, I'm gonna do this on the table. If I take and I just kind of crease it out, it will give us a line. It'll give us a line. Look at that. And then just to make sure that we have the other side done, and then double check that we have this side done, let's take a shot and cut it out. And piece de resistance, we have the shape. Yay, look at that. Alright, cool. So from what we learned with this, if you ever want to cut out your own shape, is that, where's the last one? There we go. Find the angle bisectors. Find the angle bisectors and they will help you out a lot. In a 4 or 5-sided shape, what it seems to be is folding it across, so that way the opposite sides line up like this. That seems to be one of the key things that always happens, no matter what size or shape it kind of looks like. I mean, it can be anything, but no matter what, you're going to have it so that two sides, this side and this side, will always match up. Same thing with 5-sided shapes. The only thing is a 3-sided shape. It's kind of hard to do because there's not really I mean, you go from this side to this side, but your sides will always line up, is what I'm trying to say. Pinch points. Make sure that you follow your pinch points. You saw how hard this one was to do since I didn't find the pinch points correctly. And now that seeing where the pinch points are and my mistake on the angles, it shows me that I wasn't prepared enough on my pinches and my angles and my measuring. And so it's actually pretty cool. If you look at the back side of it, it looks a little bit easier you can see it a little bit better. And so what's interesting is that there's one fold across here, and then you kind of get a second one. You get a second fold here. And what that's doing is, it looks like, so this side, this fold is bringing this side and this side together. And what this fold is doing, which is actually in between another two pinch points, which are these two, is it's bringing this side and this side together. With that. Oh, like that. Which is pretty cool. Yeah, but those are the things to remember. And Professor Vaughn, have a wonderful winter vacation. And I'm sure I'll see you again next semester. I will take the first video and I'm going to splice it together. And it's actually going to be on the beginning end of this video. I'm sorry for the length. I can talk a lot and I'm getting very spacey right now. So, yeah, have a wonderful vacation and happy holidays.